We turn now to our business editor, Yuka Royer.
Hi, Francois.
Olivier Blanchard telling us there not to focus on the noise, but it is difficult not to check your news feed on the one hand and the markets on the other.
Yeah, markets in wild swings again. This week started off with a sharp sell-off after Donald Trump appeared to threaten the independence of the US Federal Reserve. Stocks are rallying now as President Trump toned down his criticism of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell and also struck a softer tone on China, saying he'd be nice to them and the 145% tariffs would not stay forever. Tesla is up 6%, even after its earnings came in well short of expectations. That's because Elon Musk said he'd spend less time in government work to focus more on car making. European bourses also rallied, particularly on the continental side, with Frankfurt's DAX ending the day up 3%.
And there's no better, I guess you could say, symbol of that globalization than aviation.
Virgin Atlantic's founder Richard Branson today slammed the US president's, quote, erratic and unpredictable actions as doing so much damage to the world. In recent days, airline bosses have come out to say they won't pay higher prices for the planes they ordered because of tariffs, like Delta, that's refusing to receive Airbus jets. Boeing planes seem to be returning from China as airlines there have been ordered by the government to halt taking in new deliveries. The passenger jet market is a complex one, with airlines relying not just on new planes, but second-hand ones and leases. And if deliveries are delayed on a large scale, that could raise prices of older planes that are also on the market. Now, for more, let's bring in Ernest Arvai, the president of consultancy AirInsight Group. Ernest, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, last year, you published an article showing an anatomy of Boeing 787 to show just how many parts suppliers outside the US are involved in making just one plane. How will tariffs affect such a globalized industry like aviation?
Tariffs will have a negative impact on the industry. Since 1979, in a global agreement, aviation has been a tariff-free environment, and now that's, thanks to Mr. Trump, been broken. The impact of the U.S. policies can range from foreboding to minor, depending on whether the multiple proposals that we've seen are on or off, as to whether they actually do get turned on or off. And we don't know. And I think the uncertainty is the degree that's making it difficult to plan. But if we look at the markets, the stock market, bond market, and currency market have all fallen since the Trump administration took office, and that normally works in opposite directions. So that makes life difficult. When we look at the Boeing 787 as a particular aircraft, this one has major sections of the fuselage built in Japan and Italy and ferried over by large airplanes to Boeing's facility in South Carolina. The impact of tariffs will be substantial for U.S. carriers buying the aircraft. For international carriers, they can get a rebate on the tariffs from the U.S. government. So depending if there are retaliatory tariffs, that will have the impact.
So you mentioned earlier that
China,
the degree,
which has
sorry, you mentioned earlier that the degree of damage caused by tariffs depends on how much and how long the tariffs remain, and all this uncertainty has already caused much damage. Just how much damage has all this back and forth about tariffs already caused to the aviation industry? It was hoping for a rebound, a bumper year this year, wasn't it?
Well, we just got off Boeing's earnings call this morning, and they have 50 aircraft that they were scheduled to deliver to China this year, 41 of which are in process or in some form of production or inventory, and 9 which have not been scheduled yet. So we have so we'll see those 9 immediately remarketed to other airlines around the world. Potentially some Indian airlines who have been looking for more airplanes quickly. But it costs money to repaint an aircraft, to reconfigure the interior, and to get it set up for another carrier. So there's an economic impact to Boeing already from the retaliatory tariffs in China. And of course, the impact for Delta and Virgin Atlantic and Ryanair not taking up new aircraft if tariffs are passed through poses yet another problem, both for Airbus and Boeing. In the case of Delta, for Airbus as well.
Can airlines single-handedly cancel or defer orders that they placed years in advance?
It requires cooperation with the OEMs, but the OEMs generally will want to work with the airlines to keep them as a long-term customer. They have to take a long-term view in this industry. An aircraft program will last typically 20 to 30 years of production. And if you have a customer on early, the chances are that for fleet commonality and maintenance reasons, they'll pick up more of the same type of aircraft. So once a customer, always a customer. At least that's what you hope as an OEM. So having the tariffs disrupt customers is not a good thing for the OEMs and for manufacturing.
And if airlines delay plans to renew their fleet indefinitely, is there a risk to aviation safety down the road and the fight against climate change?
It certainly does. The new aircraft are roughly 15 to 16% more efficient, more fuel efficient than their predecessors. So we've already got a tremendous impact from climate change just by refurbishing new aircraft. Also, the newer aircraft are being certified for use with synthetic aviation fuel, which also helps in the process. So from an environmental standpoint, it's a setback if airlines aren't taking new airplanes.
Arvai from AirInsight, thank you so much for your insights.